Hello, this is Mr. Muller for lesson 8-4, factoring trinomials. So I know that's what the last section was called. Really, it's the same thing except it gets a step harder, which kind of, for some problems, makes it a lot harder. So it's not just going to be an x squared this time plus two numbers. There's going to be a number in front of that x. So you kind of got to think about that a little more when you are multiplying it out. So for example, if I have 6x squared plus 11x plus 4, well, the same thing, you need to figure out which two numbers add up to 4, or multiply to 4, so it could be 2 and 2 or 4 and 1. But then there's also this 6x that you have to worry about in the front of the problem. So it could be a 6 and a 1, or a 2 and a 3, and then same thing, you have to worry about where it is in the parentheses. So for example, this one, we'll see right here, the way to get 6x squared plus 11x plus 4 is to do 3x plus 4, and then 2x plus 1, because if I multiply that out, I'm going to get an 8x here, and then an 11x there, or 3x there, to make it 11x. So here's kind of the same thing. What am I going to do to make it 5x squared plus 17x plus 6? So let's say I have 5x plus some number, and then x plus another number. Okay, this one's a nice one to start off with because the only way to multiply to get to 5 is 5 and 1. So now I just need to think of the couple ways to multiply to 6. If I put a 6 here, or a 6 here, and a 1 there, and a 1 there, or if it's going to be a 3 and a 2. Okay, so this is going to be kind of like guess and check. This is one of the reasons why we do those Ken puzzles, is to kind of get this guess and check process a little earlier. So I can see that this is going to be a 2 plus 3. If you didn't think it was going to be a 2 plus 3, you try it and then you FOIL it out, and it ends up not being going back to the original problem, then you know you need to try something else. So here's my 5x squared, and then there's 5x times 3 is going to give me 15x. And then there's the other 2x to get me to 17x. And 2 times 3 is 6. Alright, for this next one, this one's going to be a little trickier. I don't know if it's going to be 2 and 2, or 4 and 1. Could be a couple different things. I do know, since it says plus 8, that it's going to be something, or my signs are both going to be subtraction signs. Alright, so let's try to do a 4x here, and then let's leave that as a 1x, so that's going to give me my 4x squared. And then let's try an 8 here, and a 1 there. So if I multiply this out, 4x times x is 4x squared, 4x times a negative 8 is a negative 32x, negative 1 times x is a negative 1x, so that negative 32 and that negative 1 is going to give me that negative 33, and then negative 1 times negative 8 is going to give me that positive 8. So again, just get some trial and error to try to think about things. Alright, here, same thing. I'm lucky that I have a 5 as my coefficient, because I know that I have to have 5x, then there's no other way to multiply to get to 5 than 5 times 1. So sometimes that makes it a little simpler, since there's no more options. Kind of like with those Kalkudokus and Kenkens, if it says 3 times 1, and it's there's the only way to multiply to 3 times, or the only way to multiply to get to 3 is 3 times 1. Alright, so this one I just have to decide for my 6. Is it going to be a 6 and a 1, a 3 and a 2? And in this case, it's going to end up being a 1 and a 6. And I can kind of see that because 5 times 6 is going to give me 30. And 1 times x is going to give me that other x that I'm missing to get to 31x. Alright, let's try this last one here. So again, I see that it's 2y squared. And again, kind of fortunate that the only way to get to 2y squared is to do 2 times 1. So I know I'm going to have a 2 times 1. And then again, signs, I'm kind of lucky. Since it says plus 14, I know I'm going to have to multiply two numbers. to get to that negative, or to that the two negative numbers to get to positive 14. There's a couple different ways I could multiply to get to 14. I could do 7 and 2. I could do 14 and 1. So for this problem, it's going to end up being a 7 and a 2. And I can see that because if I multiply 2y times negative 2, that's going to give me a negative 4. And negative 7 times y is going to give me a negative 7. So negative 4 plus negative 7 will give me that negative 11 that I'm looking for there. If you don't get it after the first try, there's usually only 2 or 3 options. So again, just like those Ken puzzles, even if you don't get it, well then you learned that it's not one of those 2 options or 3 options.